Welcome back to Used to Sew, a podcast about vintage sewing machines, sewing history, and sewing culture in the past and present. I am your producer and co-host Aradia, daughter of your main host, T.R. Kelly, who is here today to talk to you about more idioms and fabric stores that she remembers from the 1980s. This episode mainly looks at how quickly fabric stores went from bustling hubs of commerce to a foreign concept, pun intended, in just a few quick years, through the lens of personal experience rather than an academic or even journalistic one. But we start with returning to idioms, because it is tickling something in our hyperlexic brains. I decided to look up and ponder a longer list of sewing-related idioms than we came up with on the fly during the main recording. These include cut from the same cloth, needle in a haystack, unraveling or frayed, hanging on by a thread, falling apart at the seams, sitting on pins and needles, zipping in any context at all, a stitch in time saves 9, has me in stitches, thread of evidence or plot thread, spinning a yarn, cotton onto. I left out several that I found that were more related to clothing and dressing specifically rather than sewing tools, and I'm sure that you have thought of some that I missed, so do write to us with your favorite and or obscure sewing-related idioms. Once we're done with idioms, we do turn to our main topic of marveling at how many sewing stores there used to be and how few there are now. We're approaching it from a nostalgia perspective, though, so not too heavy of a theme this time. We're about to take a break for an in-person gathering, so it's not the time to start hyper-focusing on a new hefty topic.
It's a drizzly summer day. Is it drizzling where you're at? I've got heavy clouds, but yeah, a little drizzle.
It's drizzling off and on the way it has for the last 5 days. This is the most wintry start to summer. I mean, honestly, like, who does this season even think she is?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's okay, it's not beautiful enough to go zooming around out in the woods. I think I'll go thrifting. I just got back from 6 weeks over in Eastern Oregon where there are no fast food shops or stoplights, let alone thrift stores. So I'm like, okay, I'm back on this side. I need to go see what St. Vinny's got. On the way to band practice yesterday, so I'm going to go quick stop at St. Vinny's just to see if there's any sewing machines. And, actually, the excuse was I need to go look for red, white, and blue stuff to wear to the show, the 4th of July show. Went to my favorite St. Vinny's in Eugene, and there were 6 sewing machines.
Ooh.
And I only have 15 minutes to look at them and decide if they're any good. Okay, well, the first thing that caught my eye was the space shuttle. Yes, the Singer 6268 Ultra Unlimited, $1,200 in 1985. There it sat on a St. Vinny's shelf. Its previously beautiful ivory plastic yellowed down to a very cheap broken toy color. And the price was $50.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Oh, the little drawer on the top where all the little feet are supposed to go, none of them were there. The foot controller wasn't there. There's no case, that big embroidery unit. None of that stuff was with it. And I'm just like, oh my God, who's going to buy this? Is anybody going to buy this? Is it going to wind up in electronics recycle? It was really kind of sad to see. Then there was, of course, a treadle, a Singer 15-something, not really old, but still black and curvy, in a really plain treadle. $100. 2 plastic things, department store. I don't even look at the names on them. $50 a piece. No, forget it. But then there was a couple cabinets, and one had the flatbed 338 blue Singer Fashion Mate Robin's Egg blue in a cabinet. And it's like, okay, all right, $50 for that. And then one of the favorites that I've talked about before, the Fashion Mate 239, the last of the 15s, basically. It's a 15 in a modern case, and all metal gears and all that, and $50 for that in a stand. So of all the machines that were there, that would have been the one. It's like, you have to buy one, TR, to take home and fix up. I would have bought that one. Basic 1970s. Yeah, I could fix that up. I can make it work for somebody. And then I went through the basic, just turn the wheel. They all worked, but nothing thrilling there. So today I'm going to go to another St. Vinny's, and I know there's going to be something cool.
Well, good luck with that.
Even if I don't buy it, just to go, ooh.
Sure, yeah. The thrill of the hunt.
Yeah. I'm still looking for summer clothes and all that. Did you do anything sewing related to this week? Did you do any stitching on your fairies or anything?
Oh, yeah. I've still been obsessively cross-stitching on my fairy thing. I still haven't moved the hoop. I'm still working with the original setting of the hoop because I have a big embroidery hoop that I'm doing it with, and I haven't had to move it yet. I'm still working on filling in the area encompassed by the original spot. But yeah, I've been working on that a lot and realizing that most of my ambitions to make clothes before festival season are running out of time to happen because festival season is like literally in 5 minutes.
Yeah, but we're camping together. And of course I'm bringing a sewing machine.
True.
So I love sewing last minute stuff at the festival just because
Yeah, I was thinking of bringing that hand crank that you've left here. I was thinking I could bring that. And then I could have that.
Ooh.
Be very classy.
Ooh, very classy. Because I left mine over in Christmas Valley. I had thought that I would be bringing it because, how fun would that be? But yeah, festival season, so it's another thing. Going to go look for some fabric. I just keep thinking about that word that you said a few episodes ago, disarticulating.
It's so much fun to say.
It was. I told my brother last night, Aradia has this great word. She's talking about disarticulating clothing to take, get the pieces out. It's like, ugh, that sounds like a carcass. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm pretty sure that I picked it up from like forensics. I'm pretty sure that that's where I got the word from.
Yes,
but it works for all kinds of things.
It does.
Or maybe it was archaeology. But either way, it had to do with human remains.
Either way, yes, remains. Things that are taken apart from where they should be. And, if you've ever taken apart complicated piece of clothes, like where the fly on a pair of jeans goes together, you do have to disarticulate a lot of bits to get that to come apart. What did I do this week for sewing? Not much. Because we were just getting back from over in the desert, and I had to decide, am I going to leave? What machine? Oh, I can't be without a machine. So the only machine that I have in my RV right now is the Bernina 708 that I picked up thrifting a few months ago. And I'm still liking this machine quite a bit. It's so slender. It's nice to look at, and it's quiet to sew on, and everything's easy about it. But the weird thing, I have not figured out how to make it reverse. That's like a basic deal.
Well, that seems...
Do I have a manual? No.
Like it should be really intuitive, though. It shouldn't be hard to find.
I have pushed and pulled and yanked and everything I can figure out. So this is like, okay, TR has been fooled by the Bernina. So I need to go actually look up a manual. It's probably going to be something really simple. It's like, wait, I'm used to not having a reverse on my pre-1900 machines. But anyway, I was working on this Chaos 9-patch quilt all winter, and then I got stuck because quilting. My points didn't line up. I was just laboring under that whole, it's got to be perfect. And then, I'll be serious here, guys. I smoked a couple bowls, and I looked at it, and I went, I think it looks pretty cool like that. I just got to pick this and that. So I picked out the parts that were really stupid and then put it back together by hand.
Oh, aren't we getting fancy and artisanal?
Well, I wanted to look, I want to see how this goes together if I'm not trying to stuff it under the foot. So I actually hand pieced a couple of really long strips here to see how's this going to look if the points don't exactly match. Well, it's going to look folky and realistic. Like I was railing about on the last episode about buying new fabric and cutting it up with expensive tools and sewing it back together in perfect little pieces. And I've just decided that I am not that quilter. When I tried to make that star quilt that I was trying to do, which is way above my skill level, no, I'm the kind of quilter that is going to sew together little squares and maybe triangles, and that's going to be about right. The art quilt thing, I can't do. So anyway, I'm piecing this thing together, and all the points don't match, but when I hang it up and look at it from a distance, it's charming. Okay, I can do this. And then I read on this one sewing machine group, people were whining about their quilts and this and that and the other thing. And this one lady pipes up and goes, "You know what? The best quilt is the finished quilt."
Boom. There it is. There's the mic drop.
So I'm blazing ahead on this one with a combination of machine and hand bits. And I've decided, you know what? I'm not going to line up my edges and this is going to be perfect because I have this idea of what the seam allowance is. And it's not a 1/4 inch, but I always seem to default to it. So that's going to be my seam allowance. It's this much of my fingernail.
Yeah, I mean, don't fight it, right? Like, that's the thing I've been trying to lean into with various hobbies and things is like, do what works. Like, as a podcast producer, as a podcast host, as a person who's sewing, right? Like, all of that. It's, well, what works for me? What actually is leaning into what makes this comfortable and easy? Like, why push water uphill in a sieve? Like, it's just, why do that? It's dumb.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Because I know that you in the past have really fought with perfectionism.
This is why I have so many thoughts on it, is because it is one of my biggest demons.
Yeah, it's never been one of mine, but I'll reach a point where I get stuck and then that's where I stop.
Yeah, exactly. But learning how to, find that, what is done.
Yeah, what is done? Well, for me, now, and actually, when I first started putting together all these little 9 patches, okay, so it's like I got 500 1.5 inch square charm pieces, no two alike, and put them all together. Okay, so that took months, and that was fun. Put them in little 9 patches, sew those together. Then the blocks for the middle. But what am I actually making? I didn't know what the finished thing was going to be. I was just into sewing all these little bits together. But now that I've come back from the cabin and the door is installed in my sewing room, it's like, wait, this is going to be the Roman shade for my French door.
Oh, hell yes.
European mashup right there. It's a Roman shade on my French door.
You know what? Europe knows what it did. It'll be fine.
And also, as I'm putting it together, I'm like, wow, there are 64 little 9-patch units here. I just turned 64.
Hey!
All of a sudden, this thing is lining up in perfect 8s and 4s and grids. And finally, the fabric has decided what it wants to be. And now it's going together really well.
Nice. Weird? The project has reached its own flow state.
Yeah. So pretty psyched about that.
I love it when that happens. That's awesome. I'm glad for you.
Yeah. You know, and again, folks, I'm not putting down anybody who's a quilter who does perfect things. I look at those things and go, oh, whoa. But it's like, why do I need to be, why do I feel the need to do that? Well, I really don't. I just like sewing fabrics together. So.
And then it makes your own unique style, and then someone can write their PhD thesis on it in 150 years because it's actually like a really unique piece of folk art or whatever, Oh,
man. So when this shade is down over my door, I'm going to be able to look at those absolutely. The reason I call it chaos is because there's no plan in the 9 patches. I mean, there's like very little. So it's like my little pattern-seeking brain will dance over this thing and not be able to find a pattern, and it'll just love it. It'll just be looking at all this beautiful chaos, but straight lines. Isn't that weird? Chaos inside of order.
Yeah,
right? So,
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. That totally makes sense. And what a beautiful way for that project to finally wrap up. Because, I know it's been a winding road with that one. But to just find what works for you and actually lean into what makes you happy and suddenly, poof, the project works. There you go.
Well, and the other thing about these little charm squares is that they're all Civil War era reproduction fabrics. So putting them together in sort of a non-perfection, non-machine, non-rotary cutaway feels good.
Yeah.
And I was much better at hand piecing than I thought I would be. Last time I did it was on an airplane like 15 years ago. I was like, I need to do something. I'll sew some things. I'll sew little bits together. Yeah. But I have a hard time pinching things. The pinch grip for needles, my thumb things. So that's really like, wow, if I didn't have that trouble, I think I might really get into cross stitch or hand piecing and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
And on a repeating topic here, idioms. I've figured out that's what the word workhorse is. It's an idiom, which is like a piece of cultural shorthand for something, right? Workhorse. What are some other ones we talked about? Oh, my sewing machine's a workhorse. Okay, I'm going to quit bitching about workhorses. Now I know that is cultural shorthand. Okay, so then I ran into some other idioms that you and I use all the time. And I'm like, Tiara, why aren't you griping at yourself about saying rabbit hole or wheelhouse? What's a wheelhouse? What is a wheelhouse?
I was just learning about dashboard the other day.
Oh.
All these, even podcasts. One of my favorite little threads is the origin of the word podcast.
I was just talking about that this morning with Randy. What do you have?
It has to do with broadcasting seeds.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what's different than?
Well, because just the etymology of like what the concept of a cast, right? Broadcast.
Right.
From radio,
right.
But what is a broadcast? Right. It's literally the act of throwing the seeds out.
Yes, casting seeds.
And so
and
then also of course pod, like that word also has its own way of being rooted in the word seed, like a seed pod and stuff. And so it's just like the dawn of agriculture directly leads etymologically to this extremely crispy internet mind-to-mind thing that we have.
See, I always thought podcast was the first personal thing you could carry around with you that wasn't a Walkman, was an iPod. And it took the place of radio. And so you're not listening to radio broadcasts anymore. You're listening to podcasts because they're on your pod.
Right. Yeah. But then where does iPod get it from? And where does broadcast get it from? It's just anyway.
Cast. Anyway. So rabbit hole. Okay, we talk about, here's a rabbit hole. Well, what are we talking about? There's not like an actual little rodent popping up out of my floor here. The rabbit hole is a twisting side passage that leads away from the main highway and may or may not hook back up, right? And what's wheelhouse? Wheelhouse is on a ship, right?
Yeah, I always think of like the Mark Twain, like Mississippi boat.
Wheelhouse. That's where the captain is. He's steering. He's looking out. So if something is not in your wheelhouse, you're not a captain of it. I got that. But it's all these weird little shorthand words that as a word person, I kind of get stuck on them sometimes. What does that actually mean? And think of how many sewing-related idioms have come into our language. The whole 9 yards. Everybody talks about that. The whole 9 yards. Well, where's that from? That's like how much fabric it took to make a fancy dress or something. The whole 9 yards, everything.
Right.
Railroading, everything that humans invent, we manage to like spin off some fun words that just kind of get into the language no matter what.
Well, because language evolves, right? And so as the technology evolves at its own speed, then the language evolves at a different pace. And then you end up with really asynchronous energies, right? Like dashboard had to do with horse carriages, and now we use it to mean like a user interface. Like what?
Oh my God.
It is such a wild transition, but there it is.
And I was on a vintage sewing machine group the other day, and this guy, he was calling a machine, that's one of those Japanese dashboards. And in that, he was referring to the fact that it looked like a dashboard of a 1950s car with all the chrome dials and knobs and things on it. And I thought that was a pretty cool descriptor for that dashboard. And now, right, it's a computer thing.
Right, yeah, like go to your dashboard just means like any kind of interface panel, It's probably where the red panel comes from too. I don't know.
Right, yeah. Wow. So, we were just talking about before we got on here. Like words that don't make sense anymore. Hang up the phone. What? Hang up the phone. Put it in a little bag, hang it on the wall.
Roll up the window.
Roll up the window, yeah. I don't have a big, heavy mechanical topic today, but I just kind of wanted to reminisce about fabric stores. I wanted to talk about fabric stores again, because there's just so many folks out there who are literally having conniption fits, I don't know where that word comes from, about there's nowhere to buy fabric. There's no fabric stores. Where did the fabric stores go? And we talked about that retail fabric fail about why all the fabric stores, how they capitalistically ate each other, and then the whole bottom dropped out of the sewing market, and then there was only one, and now it's gone. We're talking about the United States here, folks. Joann Fabric was our last big chain store. Way back in the 80s. I'm trying to think of all the fabric chain stores we had here in Oregon. There was House of Fabrics, Fabricland, Best Fabric, Hancock Fabric. Yeah, that was the chain stores. Oh, and Payless, which is a national variety store chain that had a...
They had fabric?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
So I'm going to take you on a tour of fabric stores in Eugene, Oregon in 1986. This is all of the fabric stores that I could basically walk to. Some of them were a mile or two, or I could ride the bus, but these were all the resources that I had as a beginning sewer in the 80s. And they all fell into different types of stores. You would have okay, let's just go here. Payless. All right, that's a national chain. And it was sort of in the low end of the fabric was inexpensive. They had inexpensive notions. There were no sewing machines in the store. You couldn't even buy one in a box or whatever. Just weren't any. But there was good solid selection of all the basic stuff that you would need. There was some jean fabric. There was some calico. There was some slinky stuff to make blouses with. Threads, all that. There was a cutting table with a couple of knowledgeable, plump ladies in aprons that could help you with your stuff. There was pattern books to look at. And so your husband could be over in the garden section looking at whatever he wanted to look at. And you could be right there. So it was that big variety store kind of thing. So that was our lowest, economically speaking, chain fabric store. And then you went up to Best Fabric, which later became Joann, but at the time it was just Best, and it was a little hole in the wall, and they sold a lot of cheap fabric and a lot of cheap Chinese crafts. That was one of the first places I started to see a lot of that stuff. Then you had Fabricland, which was a Northwest chain, Oregon, Washington. And now we're getting up into, this is a big store. This is a big box fabric store. And it's got all kinds of fabric, from sequins and diaper flannel and quilting stuff and outdoor wear and upholstery stuff. And they've got sewing machines. They don't have somebody to demonstrate them, though. They've got sewing machines set up with price tags on them, and then one's in boxes underneath that you can take home. And they're all singers. So they're authorized to sell singers, but there's nobody there selling them. If you have a problem with your machine, you can bring it back to store and they'll send it up to the Singer place in Portland where they fix them, Singer's actual workshop. So you can get warranty service through the store. Then we've got House of Fabrics, which is where I worked. This was the top of the line chain store. We had every fabric, every notion, lots of crafts. We had bridal department. We had everything. And we had sewing machines. And we had a staff of 3 to demonstrate them, teach you how to use them, do minor repairs, and send them up to Portland if needed. So we were like the big fabric store. We were not Walmart. We were pretty classy. I mean, we had carpet in the sewing machine department. And we had carpet in the what we called better dress, which was fancy evening fabrics and bridal section. And we were open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And the store was always full. We always had customers. We had a staff of 27 people. They were not all, usually 10 or 12 on at the same time. Can you think of any fabric store in the last 10 years where there was enough clerks to put stuff away and wait on everybody? It was beautiful.
No, that sounds like just fantastical.
There was no stacks of boxes in the aisles waiting to be put away. I mean, it was a sharp-looking store, and that was peak fabric store. And it was the best. 'Cause 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 the best. ' Okay, but that was the best chain store. But now we're going up the ladder to our independent stores, which you can't really compare to a chain store because they're hyper local. Like, what do my customers here want to do, right? So, of course, we've got 2 quilt stores, which we know you can't buy a zipper in a quilt store. But they've got all the top-end quilt fabric. Do they have sewing machines? Yes, but they're not for sale. They've got all kinds of featherweights and treadles and things sitting around for atmosphere. And once in a while, they might have a treadle in on consignment, but not really a sewing machine store. Then we've got home fabric. Home fabric. This was by my house, and I actually used to shop here a lot. Tiny little store, but with a really good selection of garment fabric. Not quilty stuff, not outdoor stuff, but stuff for making shirts and dresses and clothes for kids and all the notions to go along with that. And some of the friendliest owner, operator, clerk people in town. They were so sweet. I mean, I didn't know doodly squat. I went in there and I was like, I want to make this. Oh, you don't want to use that fabric, honey. See how that's not going to gather up right? It's, taking the time to explain. Ladies might have been home ec teachers in another life. Then, the absolute top of the line fabric and sewing machine store in Eugene was 27th Street Fabrics. Guess what machines they sold?
Bernina.
They were the Bernina dealer.
Bernina.
Now, not only did they have the Bernina dealership, which you can't get a Bernina dealership unless you go through all their training, and then they had the best sewing machine repair guy in town. His name was Gene. He could fix anything, even Berninas. But the fabric in there, we're talking imported, like, good stuff, like Japanese stuff and handmade lace bits from Belgium, and they had a sign on the door, no children.
Just like, simply okay. No children.
No children. All right. You go in there, and they had, if you want to buy a Bernina, it's going to be like buying a car. We have dedicated sales staff. They're not cutting fabric. They're going to sell you the sewing machine, and they're going to show you how to do every little thing on it. Okay, when I quit working for House of Fabrics over various reasons, I went up and saw my buddies at 27th Street Fabric and said, you guys need another machine salesman? And then I went and looked at all what I would have to learn, and I said, I think I'll go back to playing bass in a country band. This is not selling singers.
Wow. But
wait, we're not done. There's another store in Springfield called Jean Marie's. Now, this is a very strange little store. They had a little bit of everything for fabric, and they also gave classes. They were one of the first places that started to rely on classes for getting customers to come in the door. And they had machines, and they had a guy to fix them, but they were selling those midline machines, like Ricard, Brother. I can't remember. I think it was some low-end Janome stuff, maybe. And they were in Springfield, and that was pretty much Springfield's store, but I could walk to it. But then, my favorite store, the Mill End. It's not there anymore. It was a big warehousey thing full of mill ends, which is pieces of fabric that are left over from factories, dead stock.
So it's new fabric, but it's the scraps and leftovers and gleanings of the new fabric.
Yes. World. It's called dead stock. And a lot of times they would just bolts and bolts and bolts of everything. You could find pieces of designer fabric, pieces of super expensive upholstery fabric. And then in the back, there would be these bins of cuttings of things like leather and Dacron and ripstop nylon, just these scrap bins. And you could buy stuff by the pound. Oh my God, I love that place.
That's like thrifting, but also fabric shopping. And it's like new because, that sounds very exciting.
When they had notions, they would buy out all these, I mean, they would just get, you never knew what you were going to find there. So it was a lot like thrifting.
Right. They were like buying old stock. So it was just whatever was old and hadn't sold from bigger stores, et cetera, et cetera.
Went in one time and there was these big industrial totes full of zippers, like the really expensive ones that go on the front of ski jackets and stuff. A dime a piece.
Wow. Yeah, that's just like, we will pay you to take this away.
And there was another store like this, similar, but it was all home deck and upholstery. And it was called Econo Sales. And I think that one is still there, but it's by appointment only. And it's a big warehouse full of rolls of like car upholstery, home fabrics, all the springs and tools and just the stuff you need to do upholstery. So do they have sewing machines? When I was over there, they did have one on display that you could order from them. And it was like a Thompson mini walker or one of those semi-commercial deals with a walking foot. So let's see. Payless, 27th Street, House of Fabrics, Quilt Loft, Fabricland, Best, Econo Sales, Mill End, Home Fabric, and Jean Marie's. That was the stores I could walk to in 1986.
Wow. And you had a good walking range, to be clear. You're a walker.
Yeah.
But still, that's a lot of stores.
2 or 3 miles.
Given that, now there's zero aside from quilting specific?
When I say walk to, I could walk to the bus that would get me there. But all these I could have rode my bike to. There wasn't any one of them farther than 10 miles, which is just too long to walk. I'd rather sew. But yeah, what's left? There's, let's see. Payless went out of business. 27th Street went out of business. House of Fabs went out of business. Quilt Loft, I don't know where they moved to. They moved a few places. Econo Sales, appointment only. Mill End is gone. Home Fabric is gone. Jean Marie's is still there. It's a very strange little store. If you walk in, you're likely to hear some Fox News blasting sort of thing, if you know what that's all about.
Oh, that kind of weird. Ugh.
Yeah. But, the other cool thing about it is it's such a strange little store. There is stock in there from the 80s. You can still get cards of Le Monde buttons for 80 cents.
They just have never sold them, so they're still there. Wow.
No. And the store is in this weird little house. It's just like, okay. But they do still have classes and they have a following, so they're able to stay in business, and more power to them. So what do we have now? We have Michael's Crafts, which, no, it's not a fabric store. We have Hobby Lobby, which is not a fabric store. We have Piece by Piece, which is a quilt store. That's it. That's it. Can't wait to go to St. Vinny's and find some sheets to take apart today. Maybe a nice wool coat.
So where do we get fabric? At secondhand stores, at random gleaning warehouse type things that inevitably do exist somewhere, but maybe not as close as they used to be.
Well, there's, in big cities. Now, I've been reading about this, like up the road in Portland. There are still several really awesome independent fabric stores. A lot of them, when you're starting to get into big cities, they're like places that sell mill ends and scraps from garment factories and stuff. There is a store in Portland that's also called the Mill End, and it is super famous. I can't remember how many city blocks it takes up. It's like the Powell's Books of Fabric.
I was going to say, is it like Powell's, but for fabric? Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, I want to go up there, but I'm going to need to take a whole weekend because you can't even see everything in the store. And it's real warehousey. It's not real retail-y. So it's like, oh, go back into that room and follow the pink sign and the line on the floor, and then that's where your auto upholstery will be, kind of thing.
Right.
And quilt stores are everywhere because, I'm glad to see that some kind of sewing is still happening. And quilting is a great hobby because it keeps us old ladies out of trouble. You don't know, we'd be hanging out at the casino smoking and drinking if we wasn't got sewing machines. That was my mom there. How the hell with this? Let's go to the casino.
Right. That's so interesting to me that the demand for all those different fabrics was so high so recently. Like in my mind, people haven't sewn in 1,000 years. Right. And you're just describing like being an adult person when it was very normal for there to be that much demand. And I'm like, that's so not long ago. It's just so not long ago.
4 years before you were born.
Exactly. Like it's not even half a century.
No. But what happened if we refer to some of our earlier episodes, what happened was the North American Free Trade Agreement,
Yeah.
which kicked all the protections out from under the domestic clothing and textile industries and sent all that.
Which all just feels so inevitable and normal and background to me, right? Because like I don't come into consciousness about how anything commercial works until after NAFTA has already done the kneecapping. Right. That's already background noise by the time that I come into like the concept of having discretionary money and going to the mall and is there home ec classes, right? By the time I'm thinking about any of that, NAFTA is old news.
Right. It's done. You know, like I wrote the sewing machine song when you were 5.
Right.
And that classic line, people just don't sew much now. They get their clothes from factories. That's when that happened. The Clinton administration, the early 90s.
Right. Right. And I'm over here like, I'm such a rebel for wanting to sew a few garments. And it's like 5 minutes before I was born, it was normal for people to sew their own clothes. Like it was fading out, but it was not the kind of radical act that it is now, you know?
Yeah. Oh, the other thing that killed off fabric stores was the internet. That killed off brick and mortar everything, right? Even though you wouldn't think fabric, as clothes get cheaper and people don't sew, there's less customers, but the cost of keeping a store open is the same. So pretty soon you just got to close your store. And, you know, all the chain stores started buying each other. Let's see. House of Fabrics bought Fabricland, which pretty much killed both of them. And then Best grew into Joann's and ate all those. And so where do you buy fabric now? The question. Well, okay, you look online.
Because now the internet is how you can save these little places by continuing to find stuff online and not go to fabric.com or whatever.
Yeah, and I think fabric.com is owned by Amazon. Is that right? Let me look.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Amazon bought fabric.com. Like it used to be its own thing, but then because companies do what companies do and corporations are all corporation-y. Yes, I am quoting from Team America.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I just put in fabric.com and it takes you right to Amazon and all the beautiful shapes and colors.
Yeah, I sent my spouse over there to look for facing fabric for his office curtain that I want to make him.
Oh, right.
Because, you know, I'm making one curtain and it's like, well, you want to get the absolute ultimate paisley magic to look at while you're at work, then, you know, this would be the place to find the most range.
Right. Even if you don't buy it there, you can shop there.
Yeah. So
get the name of the fabric, type it in, buy it from a smaller store. But, you know, we all have to draw our line about what we're going to buy. When I need to buy new fabric, like, okay, I know I'm not going to find 4 yards of linen in a thrift store. I mean, maybe if I found a linen duvet cover. Ooh, okay. So always keep an eye out in your housewares section for good fabrics that may be masquerading as bed linens, etc. There's a store I go to that's just linen, only linen. And I've been buying for them for several years now. I usually buy 2 or 3 pieces of linen a year. But my God, that is my favorite fabric. It just gets more awesome. The more you wash it, the more awesome it gets. And it just has this great look and feel. So fabric is where you find it. And I'm going to say the best place to find fabric is in thrift stores. You can disarticulate good quality clothing. Don't take apart a piece of fast fashion crap. You're wasting your time. But find that nice old wool blazer, take it apart, make a vest out of it. I went over to our actual website, use2sew.com, and added a couple sections of links there for places that we refer to a lot. And I want to put a few fabric stores on there that I personally myself have used. But what's on there right now is the amazing link to the map of all the vintage sewing machine places. That's so cool. And also links to stuff like Ismax and Silver Bobbin and Alex Askarov's site and all that. So our website is less than mid. It looks really 1992, actually.
Ooh, we're moving up through the decade.
But the information's there. The links are clickable, even if the graphics aren't quite. Come on, man. I can write HTML, but I'm lost after that.
Well, I'm glad you've added a bit of a library to our website because it would be good to have some of those core references more easily available than in any given episode's show notes. Like, also put them in the show notes, but it'd be good to have that repository.
Yeah, so that's something I'm working on right now for you, our listener, to, it's like, where did she talk about this or that or the other thing? Well, today we've just talked about a lot of this or that or the other thing because, hey, we got to clean up the floor with the scraps and the threads once in a while before we get on to slicing into a new project.
Right. And we are about to come to the end of, as we finish up this recording, we're coming to the end of a unit of recording because we're going to be taking 2 weeks off because summer festival season. We will not be recording next week or the week after that.
But we have recorded enough episodes that you guys aren't going to miss anything, and we're not doing any rewinds this time. We've actually gotten ahead, so look forward to lots of fun new topics. And when we come back from festival time, I mean, these are art festivals, so we're going to have stuff to talk about.
Oh,
we're going to have things like, did you see that purple? I want to make that. Did you see that treadle in booth number 44? It was a Franklin.
And then you're going to be out here. We're going to be hanging out together, working on crafting stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, we're kind of finishing up this unit of our thoughts with a sort of grab bag. Yeah. And when we come back into the recording booth, we'll have lots of new thoughts and threads to pick up on. Yes. And that'll be fun for summer, for the rest of summer.
And again, if y'all have any questions or you want us to deep dive on a certain machine or topic or anything, please do write to us, used2so@gmail.com, because we're really digging our community here. We love it when you guys write to us and send us pictures and stories that we can share. And it's like block exchange if you're a quilt person. Okay. But for now, I want you to sit down in your chair, pick up your needle, pick up your thread, put your glasses on, don't poke yourself, and get threaded.
And there you have it. Another series of loosely organized tangents around idioms, quilting, and fabric stores in the past and present. I learned that Payless wasn't just a shoe store, that NAFTA worked so much faster than I can even appreciate to change the commercial landscape I grew up in, and that TR has updated the podcast website with the start of our reference library. Contrary to what TR said at the end of the episode there, I think we will need to take a single week break to account for our 2-week vacation and to keep my head above water as a producer. Sorry about that. It's the price that one pays for doing too many hobby podcasts without delegating any of the work to one's co-hobbyists. I really need to work on that. Anyway, next week we'll be off air and we'll be back at the start of August. As a reminder, we are unofficially sponsored by Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine. You can reach them at srvsew@gmail.com. Follow us on social media and YouTube, and you can best support us by sharing the podcast with your friends. You can even get ad-free episodes by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/used2sew. Thank you for listening to us here at Used to Sew. We always welcome your additions, corrections, and feedback in general. Please reach out to us via email at usedtosew@gmail.com. Used to Sew is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.